Hello and welcome to Books and Beyond. I'm your host, Jimmy Bennett. Books and Beyond is the show where we try to help people personify their aspirations. And I'm sure by now you've noticed that there's a little something different. It's because we've got a very special show for you today. But before we get to that, I'd like to just make a couple of announcements and a shout out. The shout out is for the Southeastern Connecticut chapter of the Connecticut Authors and Publishers Association. We meet at the Groton Public Library every third Monday night of the month at 6:30. This is a great resource for writers, editors, agents, anybody that has anything to do with the written word or would like to. Come and learn, get a lot of inspiration, great networking. So I hope to see you there. Second announcement I have is at the Groton Public Library on November 5th, there'll be a local authors fair. I'll be there and a bunch of other local authors. Please come down, meet us, see our work. And maybe you'll find something that you can enjoy getting around Christmas time for the readers in your life. And that brings me to the other main event coming up is November 14th at Noah's in Stonington Borough is hosting a benefit, a sip and sign for the Operation Fresh Start organization. Operation Fresh Start's a wonderful community-based organization that helps a lot of people. And Sip and Sign is going to be local authors. There'll be 6 of us, me being one. And there'll be hors d'oeuvres, champagne. It's a fun night. You get to mingle, you get to talk, discuss the work with the authors, and our books will be there for signing. So I hope to see you there. You'll see flyers around town. And I'll be giving you further information how to get tickets as we go along. So that's all I got for that today, because I really want to get to the show. And so here we go. We are going to do another cooking show, backed by popular demand. A lot of people really loved the last one we did. So I'm here today with Bryan Yemma.
How's it going?
My boss and the director of culinary at McQuade's in Mystic. We're going to do... I'll let Bryan tell you what we're going to do, but we work at McQuade's. We make, a lot of food at McQuade's. So this is a sort of a variation on something that we do. But I'll let Bryan explain to you. Go ahead, Bryan.
All right. Well, first off, thank you, Jim, for having me back again. It's always a pleasure, and you know I love doing this. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a little play on our butternut lasagna that we do at McQuade's, but we wanted to change it up a little bit, and we wanted to do it a little fun, make it a little fun, and do a roll-up instead of a whole lasagna. So what we have here is all the components to build this, and I'm going to go over each one with you so you know how to do this at your house if you wanted to. So to start, we have our pasta that we use for it. This is just our standard lasagna sheets. You can get it right in the pasta aisle. What we do with all these is we parboil these. If it calls for, I believe they're 10 minutes, we cooked them about 8 minutes because this is going to go back in the oven and bake to finish. So you want to leave them just a little underdone, but pliable enough so you can roll them easily and make it so you're not having any issues when you roll it. That's what I start with. I get that done, and then I will make my ricotta filling. Here I have ricotta cheese. Brought a bowl here for that. We're going to put that ricotta right in the bowl. In that ricotta cheese, I have a little salt and pepper mixture that I brought. Always season everything when you're cooking. You want to build your layers of flavor. So we're going to put a little salt and pepper in that. Parmesan cheese. You're going to add Parmesan cheese right into that. And the nice thing about the lasagna roll-ups, where in most lasagnas you put eggs in, this is something that I don't even need to put the eggs.
A little slower,
And we're going to do a little parsley right in here as well.
That's some fresh Italian leaf parsley, which I think has more flavor than the curly parsley.
So we're just going to mix all that up. Get a nice mix on that, and that'll give you your ricotta filling that you're going to use for these roll-ups that we're doing. just like that. In this container here, I had caramelized onions before I came. I did about 4 or 5 just Spanish onions. I julienne them nice and thin, and what I do with these when I'm sauteing, I add a little salt and pepper, but I add a little brown sugar to help with the caramelization. Gives a really nice sweet flavor to the onions, which are already sweet, but when you're mixing it with the butternut, it just complements this dish very, very nice.
You caramelize onions by putting them in a saute pan with a little butter, and you got to just keep cooking it, keep working it.
Nice,
fairly
low.
high heat.
Yep.
But you just one of those things you got to kind of watch because you will burn them if you don't keep them moving. So you want to keep an eye on it. But
exactly.
They look great. They smell great.
And then the other components, one thing about this dish is there's a lot of components in it, and it's not a quick dish to make, but man, is it worth it. So we did butternut squash. We also did this before we came. This butternut, what you would do is you'd peel your butternut, obviously take the seeds out, and you could just boil your butternut until it was fork tender. And with this, what we do is we just add butter, an equal part of butter and brown sugar, and we make like a caramel mixture with it. Whisk it up until it's a caramel form, and we dump that right into the butternut. Little pinch of salt and just the tiniest pinch of nutmeg, and you have a great butternut squash. Again, nothing better than for a fall dish than some good butternut squash. And then the last thing that we use for this dish is going to be our spinach. You can use fresh, you can use frozen. For this dish, we used frozen. If you're going to use frozen, it's very important that you strain it very well. Frozen spinach always tends to have a lot of excess water in it. So when you defrost it, make sure you squeeze the spinach
squeeze it out real good.
I like to add a little sauteed garlic and, again, a little salt and pepper into that as well. Very important that you're always seasoning every layer and allowing the flavors to build on top of each other. So now with all that, we have, like I said, we have our ricotta that we started with off the start. We have our caramelized onions. We have our butternut squash, and we have our spinach. So now the next step to build one, and then I'll show you Jim one, and then we can build the rest of them together. You're going to lay your pasta sheet out. You're going to come in, make sure your ricotta is mixed very well. I just found a clump of cheese in mine, so I'm going to mix it up a little bit better. You're going to take your ricotta cheese. Make sure you're going to layer that right down on the sheet. You're going to go about 3/4 of the way down the sheet. And you want to leave a little space at the top because what happens is when you start rolling this, they tend to push down farther. So you leave a little excess at the end, and that'll end up being filled when you start rolling them. So we got a nice little bit of ricotta there. Now we're going to do our spinach. And kind of just break that apart, sprinkle that right in on top. And we're going to do our butternut. Right on top of that. And then to finish this off, you're going to go with the caramelized onions. The caramelized onions are really such an important part of this dish. The buttery, sweet, oniony flavor just really pulls this whole dish together. Obviously, if you're not a fan of onions, you can omit them if you don't like them. But to have them, it really pulls this whole dish together. So now we have all of our layers here, 3/4 of the way down. And now all we do is we just start to roll it. You don't need to roll it super tight. You actually kind of want to roll it a little loose. And as you're pushing it down, like I said, you're going to notice that the filling's going to push it the rest of the way down. So that little bit of excess that you left at the end is now going to be filled. And if you look at the side of the lasagna roll-up, you can see all your colors. You have your butternut, you got your spinach, you can see the onion, and you can see the ricotta filling. So not only is it a delicious dish, it looks gorgeous too when you're when you cut it open, when you're presenting it to any of your relatives or want to showing it to anybody. So we got about 6 or 7 more of these to make
Very
up
nice.
real quick.
All right, we can do that.
If you want to help me bang these out,
Yep.
and we can cook some of these right off. So I'll put this stuff in the center for you. Here's a couple of those roll-ups.
Right.
I'll do.
You know, I was just thinking.
And when you're doing multiple of these, what I suggest is you lay out all your pasta like I'm doing right here now, and you work in steps. You lay out all your pasta, then you go, and then you do your ricotta filling on all of them. Then you go back, and then you do the spinach on all of them. Then you go and you do the butternut on all of them. Instead of doing one and rolling one and keep going back. If you work in steps, you'll make this whole process a lot quicker. And
that is something that we use every day in the kitchen. We apply that in the kitchen because we do a lot of production work. And sometimes we're making hundreds of the same thing. And you learn that it's easier to go step by step by step.
also, this is another thing where I said it is very time consuming to make. So what you can do is you make extra, and these freeze excellent. So
I hadn't even thought of that.
they freeze very, very well. So it's something that, yes, it's time consuming, but you make more than you need. And then the
Yeah,
next
if you
time
gotta
you
do it
want
anyway, right,
you
yeah.
already have it made for the following time. And again, this is something that you don't see often, and you can really impress a family if you wanted to pull this one out on Thanksgiving or any time during.
Now, what did you go next? Butternut next?
Now we did the spinach next,
Spinach next.
then butternut.
All right. Now, I was also just thinking, Brian, I mean, you could use different types of fall vegetables in this, couldn't you? I mean, you could do acorn squash if you really liked acorn squash, right?
Oh, of course.
You could use mushrooms.
I mean, it's just like anything. You can make a line of extension of this product and turn it into whatever you wanted to, essentially, any kind of roll up.
Yeah. If you don't like spinach, but you like mushrooms.
I mean,
if
we
you don't
do-
like, you know.
We do just a Florentine roll up, which is just the cheese and the spinach. Obviously, you can do a normal lasagna roll up with ricotta and sauce. Again, like you said, you
I
can.
didn't think about that. Should we put a little Parmesan in here? Or do you put it on the end?
So I mix the Parmesan into the ricotta.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And then the Parmesan is also used for garnish at the end.
All right.
So now we got that. Now we're going to go. The butternut. And then this dish is going to get finished with this nice sauce that Jim's going to make.
Yeah, I'm going to make a nice Frangelico cream sauce, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
But you do not, the sauce that he makes could also be, you could also change that as well. If you wanted to use just a standard Alfredo, if you wanted to use the marinara sauce, you could still use any kind of sauce that you really wanted. But the Frangelico cream sauce that he makes goes very, very, very well with this. And then just the onions be the final thing on mine.
I'm older and slower.
And we're ready to roll. So again, you can see all the nice colors coming out of the roll-up. When you put these in your casserole dish to bake them, you want to put the rolled side on the bottom so they don't open up on you.
Well, that's a good point.
I would sauce the bottom of the casserole dish. I'd spray it first, then sauce it with whatever sauce you choose. And then we got some beauties right here.
Yep. You don't need to be intimidated by this. It really is a lot. It's very, very easy to do. Very easy to roll. If you were born before 1960, you probably have no problem with that anyways. But.
You're a
And
natural,
one thing-
you're a natural, Jim. You're a
One thing I
natural.
should point out too is you want to try to keep them the same size if you can, as close as possible. You see, mine are just a little bigger than Bryan's.
But for cooking consistency, if you
Yeah.
want everything to cook and
Cook at the same, exactly the same temperature. So that worked out.
yes, it
Good.
did. Clear this out of your way. And if you want, I will work on heating some of these up.
Well, wait a minute, because I want to. There's a couple things. If you are now, remember these are like fully cooked now. You could do them in a microwave, right? If you
Yeah,
cover
they're-
it, put them in a microwavable dish, cover them. Because you want that steam to finish off the pasta. Bake them. What do you think?
I would do 350. Like I said, I would put the sauce on top if I was baking them.
Like a marinara or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
whatever sauce you'd use, I'd still sprinkle Parmesan cheese and probably a little mozzarella still over the top if I was baking them in the oven.
Right.
You want that nice melted cheese over the top
Right.
of them. But depending on how full you had it, if you had 8 of them in there in a casserole dish like that, it's probably going to take 45 minutes at
Right.
350.
And that's the thing. The beautiful part about doing roll-ups like this rather than do lasagnas. I mean, we don't have 8 people eating at the house all the time. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. You can make, like Bryan pointed out before, if you made 15 of them, you could freeze 10 or freeze 9. Then you got another meal down the road or a couple. And this way, you're getting. You don't need to make as much. You don't have to have a big pan of lasagna sitting around. So there's a lot of variations on this. You can do. You can put meat in them. You can put, but this is a wonderful fall dish. And also think about it too is you always got a lot of leftover vegetables after Thanksgiving.
Yes.
A lot of those can be incorporated with a little ricotta cheese, right? As long as you have the ricotta cheese.
Everyone, you don't always want to eat turkey again after Thanksgiving.
Right.
You want to be able to take those leftovers and create it into something else that's still enjoyable, but that's
Right.
not the same thing that you've had
Right,
already.
then you're already ate.
You're
Yeah.
gonna eat three more times
Right.
for the next couple days.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to be able to take some of those leftovers and to play with them a little bit, to give yourself a completely different meal.
Right.
I mean, there's something to be said for that. I know every morning, with all my vegetables, I end up taking the stuffing, the potatoes, and I end up making a hash.
Right.
My daughter still says that when I made her eggs Benedict with that, the hash that I made from the leftover vegetables is some of the best eggs Benedicts that she's ever had.
Good.
But just like you said, and you try to change things up. You
Right.
can take something and you can make it completely different, and that's what we tried to do here. We wanted to take a fall dish, which is one of my personal fall favorites actually. And just play with it a little bit, make it a little bit more fun, opposed to just a normal lasagna that everyone has.
Right.
Let's do some roll-ups. Let's,
Okay.
All
right, so we're going to get to the sauce. So what I have here is 1 garlic clove. I'm going to smash it a little bit. You don't need much garlic, but a little pinch of fresh garlic. Actually, let me start this. I'm going to put a nice hunk of butter in there. All right. While that's going, I'm going to mince up this garlic a little bit. Honest to God, I've been chefing for 40 years, and it wasn't until about 10 years ago did somebody show me how to smash garlic.
Really?
I always used to take those little bulbs, and I would just painstakingly cut these little cubes out of them all the time. Now, I have a shallot here. I like to use shallot for cream sauces just because it's got a little bit more of a mild flavor to it. All right. And you also want to cut this up pretty fine. Okay, we're going to add a little shallots in there.
Oh, it doesn't take long before you can smell that.
Nope. Now, Frangelico, a hazelnut liqueur. It's got an excellent bouquet and it's got a lot of taste. It's kind of funny, you know, I've seen these in bars my whole life. Everybody's got a bottle of Frangelico, but I've never really seen a drink made with it.
You know, I've always cooked with it. That's been my...
Yeah, cooked with it, but I've never think. And also too, just in case you're serving children, Muslims, or aqualungs, the alcohol will burn out of the liquor when you put it in there. And
so it's not a 21 plus.
Yeah, it's not a 21 plus sauce. What you'll have left is the essence and the flavor. Now, we're going to keep this very simple today, and I'm going to use a little heavy cream. That way you don't need thickeners. You don't need cornstarch. You don't need a roux. You know, anything like that. Heavy cream will reduce down nicely, though it will take a few moments. We'll let that come to a boil. Oh, you can smell that already.
Oh, man. Now, another nice thing about this sauce, I know it goes great with this dish that we're making, but I do a hazelnut crusted chicken.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's so many things, again, with this sauce. It's not just geared towards this one item.
Yep.
This sauce can be used with so many different things.
And you can make a million different sauces with just the heavy cream, the shallots, and the butter. Now, basically, butter and the heavy cream is like a basis for an Alfredo sauce.
Exactly.
So you could let this reduce down, add Parmesan cheese to it, thicken it up, and it makes a nice, it'll make a nice Alfredo sauce. But you can also use like Grand Marnier if you want an orange sauce. Any really kind of flavoring. Whoop. Yep. All right.
Turn it in.
Yep. All right. Kind of got a small pan here. Probably should have brought a bigger one.
It will thicken a little quicker if it has more surface area.
Right.
So. You can already smell it though.
Yeah, it's really.
A little salt, pepper for that.
And the other thing is too, you want to, you have to kind of, you should watch it. You should really keep an eye on it because, well, number one, it'll boil over. And number two, if it goes too far, it's cream, it'll break. It'll brown, it'll break, it'll look nasty. But kind of a good thing about not having too much ingredients is that if it does break, you can just add a little more heavy cream into it and it'll bring it right back. All right, this is coming along nicely.
It looks delicious.
This has always been one of my favorites.
You can see it starting to thicken now.
Yeah, it's coming up nicely.
And it's important that you use a heavy cream with this. You can't make this sauce with a light cream or a half and half or milk unless you were adding cheese or something else to thicken it. You need the heavy cream or this won't thicken on its own.
You need the milk fat.
Something about that Frangelico, though, and cream sauces, just
it
just goes hand in hand.
Yeah. Almost any kind of pasta, even.
Yeah.
should have thought about that. A little chicken and some porcini mushrooms, Frangelico cream sauce. Well, we got plenty of shows to go.
Let me see how this food's
Yeah.
coming out.
Yeah, because this is just about there, Brian. You see it's starting to coat the spatula.
Well, these came out beautiful.
Oh, look at those.
You can just see the steam coming right off of them. Look at the color still. Everything has a beautiful color on it still. Put that right in here. Just like that. And then when you're done, Jim,
Yep, which is going to be very shortly.
you can finish this dish.
Oh, yeah.
And a good way to tell if your sauce is thick enough is if you were to put a spoon in there, it should coat the back of your spoon. If you were to put the spoon in and all the sauce just runs right off, it's not thick enough yet. If you put the spoon in and you pick it up and it coats the back of your spoon, then it's a pretty good guide to tell if your sauce is thick enough. If it coats the spoon, it's going to coat the pasta or it's going to coat whatever you're putting it on.
This just needs a moment more. And you can see how fast it went. And that was in a small pan. In a big pan, it'll go much quicker. What do you think, Brian?
I think that's there.
I think so, too.
I think that's there.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
As you
that's
can see.
gorgeous.
You got a spoon? All right. Oh, look at that. All right, you want to finish garnishing
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Look at that.
And then just to finish the garnish, just going to do a little Parmesan cheese. And then a little fresh parsley. And we got ourselves a beautiful fall favorite right there. That is the spinach and butternut lasagna roll-ups with a with a Frangelico cream sauce.
And there you have it. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you got something out of it. Write in, let us know how you like it. If you have any suggestions or something you'd like us to do, let us know because we'll be back. Thank you very much. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Brian.
Jim.
It
Thanks for
was a
having me back.
great show. Thank
Always.
you very much. And this has been Books and Beyond. We'll see you next time.